All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Forge Your Life podcast here with your host today, Richard Fu from richardfu.com. And today, guys, I'm really excited to have this guy on because just even reading his bio is just blowing me away. And I'm excited to have him on. He's actually on his own yacht off the coast of Italy here after touring around Europe for pretty much 18 months with him and his family, enjoying his life. And he hasn't always been like this for him. His name's Naden. He's a relationship coach, and he's actually built 2 successful businesses, probably more, probably even experimented more, and he's created his own life and created a relationship that's not only just passionate, but also one that lets him live it on his terms and however the way he wants. It's no longer chained to the ball of marriage as everyone thinks it should be, but it has created it in the way that he wants it to be. And so, guys, I'm so excited to have him on the show to share his story, how he's created this. So, guys, please welcome Liam to the show. Liam, good to have you on, mate.
Thanks very much, Richard. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm excited, Liam. Just even reading your story, like I said, I'm amped up to understand more. So, but before we even get into that, Liam, let's give the listeners here a bit of an understanding about yourself and who you are. So, for people who haven't heard of you, Liam, could you share a bit more about what you do and how you actually got there?
Okay. Well, yes, as you might pick up from my accent, I'm originally from New Zealand. Mm-hmm. My name is Liam Naden, but I spend my time in Europe these days. And what I do really primarily is work with couples and individuals online to help them with their marriage and relationships. And usually it's dealing with problems they have, because as we know, most of the time we only really want to seek help, if you like, when we have a crisis or a problem.
Yep.
But that's really my passion, and my focus is understanding relationships and what makes a great relationship, what makes one different, what makes the people who have a great relationship, what are they doing, thinking, believing, and even saying that's different to everybody else who's struggling with the relationships, and then helping people to apply those important things, to take on board that knowledge and apply it to their own situation and see the turnaround that they get as a result of that. So that's what really excites me, and that's what takes up a lot of my time.
I love it, man. And as myself, I used to be a relationship coach as well, Liam, and I love to get guys like you on board just to listen more, because I know you help save marriages. And talk us through your own story, because obviously you have such an interesting story, and I want you to share this with the listeners to give them some idea, I guess, of the struggles that you've gone through and how you made it through.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm glad you mentioned the word struggles, because I think sometimes we hear about relationship coaches and we think, well, they should be people who are absolutely geniuses when it comes to relationships. And we hear of people who, they've been married for 40 years and never had an argument, and therefore, they must be really good at relationships. Well, actually, I came from the opposite perspective. And basically, through my life, I've been pretty successful, I think, at a lot of things. I've done a lot of personal development work and a lot of hard work on myself to be successful in business. And I've had a lot of successful businesses over the years, and work on my health and be a healthy person, be a positive person. But the one thing that I realized I never really mastered was relationships. And the way I figured that out was, very often the greatest things come out of a crisis, and the worst things that happen in your life. And a few years ago, I'd ended up, and I wasn't young then, ended up sleeping on my mother's couch in her living room, in her small flat. And I'd lost everything. I'd been very successful financially in every other way, but I'd lost it all. I had no possessions. I had no income, no job or career, nowhere to live. That's why I was living with my mother. And not only that, I was facing bankruptcy as well. I had people calling me every day wanting a lot of money that I owed. And I was also in court with 2 ex-wives at the same time. And, all of this was happening. And I thought, this is crazy. Why have I ended up in this situation? And it was one of those magic moments that you have in a crisis. Why is this happening to me? I've worked really hard all my life. and tried to be a good person and tried to improve myself. Here I am fighting for my life, if you like, and I have nothing, and I've lost absolutely everything. And what I realized was the one area I hadn't mastered was the most important area of all in many ways, which is your personal relationship, marriage, or your intimate relationship. Because if you don't master that, then everything else is not going to matter. And that's why I realized that why I'd lost everything, because I hadn't mastered this marriage thing, and I had my world caving in, people trying to, very acrimonious divorces going on. So that's really what drove me to say, I've really got to master this relationship thing. I've got to figure this out, because I think if you really think about it, if you're in a great relationship with somebody, everything else can be going wrong in your life, and you still feel good. But if you haven't mastered it, everything else in your life can be going right, and you still won't be happy. So you've really got to realize how important who you choose and what sort of relationship you have with another person, an intimate relationship, whether it be a marriage or an intimate relationship, how important that is to your happiness, to your fulfillment, and to your ability to develop yourself into the best version of who you are. So that's when I went on a mission, and I thought, the way I started was, right, I've obviously done everything wrong. I obviously have got all the wrong beliefs about what a relationship actually is. So I started looking at people who are in great relationships and people in not great relationships, and started to figure out the difference. And I noticed some really interesting things. And when I finally did, excuse me, the great thing was my life completely changed, and I attracted to me the ideal relationship for me. And I thought, this is amazing. This actually wasn't that difficult compared to what I thought it would be. But it did require a little bit of different thinking. And that's when I thought, so many people could benefit from these ideas, from what I had learned through my hard trials. And I thought, if I can help people not go through what I've been through, if I can even just help one person, then that'll be worthwhile. So that's when I started to develop my ideas, share my information, create programs and products. I have a podcast as well, of course. Awesome. And that's really where it came from, was what have I been doing wrong? What do I need to do right? This is information everybody should know, really. And we're not taught this stuff in school, are we? Taught the mechanics of a relationship, maybe, but we're not taught what the fundamentals of how to put together the right relationship for you are. So I think this is something we don't learn unless we consciously try and go and find it. So that's been my mission, if you like, ever since.
Wow, beautiful, man. And so talk us through this, then, Liam. Talk us through, a lot of us, I think, or a lot of people, when they're going through relationships, they end up in the same type of relationship over and over and over and over again, right? And so when you realize what your pattern was, what was the first thing you did to break yourself out of that pattern? It's easy to say we have to change our beliefs, but what kind of beliefs are we talking about? What do the people listening here need to start believing more of, so that they can actually start attracting the love that they want?
I think the first thing that people need to really change in their mindset, excuse me, is what they think they're worthy of. And, too often we end up in a relationship because we think it's the best we can do. Or we think, somebody gives us some attention and we're grateful for that attention. And we think, or we feel some chemistry, obviously, with somebody. We think, well, this person, I won't do any better than this, and it's better to be with somebody than not be with anybody, and this person will do. And they're 70 to 80%, but that'll do. But that's not good enough. That's not what we should do. We should only settle for 100% of everything. So to get 100%, the first thing you need to do is figure out what 100% looks like for you. Decide what your ideal relationship is, and then say, well, why can't I have that? Because you can have that. And it's a little bit easier if you're not in a relationship. And this is, a lot of what I do is sort of the ambulance at the bottom of the cliff thing, because a lot of people shouldn't have got into the relationship in the first place. Or they should say, this is not the right relationship for me or for the other person. Time we moved on, and it's time I figured out what I really want and what's stopping me from having what I really want. So the first thing is to decide what you really want, as I say. And then the second thing is to say, why am I telling myself I can't have that? And if you're saying things to yourself like, well, relationships are difficult and you have to work on them, or no relationship's perfect, or you're saying, I don't want to be on my own, and maybe no one will love me if this person that I think is the 70, 80% person, if I don't grab them, maybe I won't find somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they're the sort of beliefs you need to look at and realize none of those are true. Relationships don't need to be difficult. You can have a 100% relationship. You don't need to work on relationships. And, these are the things actually that I found people in great relationships, they're the beliefs that they have that are different to everybody else. And that's why they have the relationships they have. Mm-hmm. So, it really all starts with yourself. And when I started to really become aware of this after I was going through my second divorce, and I started to meet other women, and I thought, hang on, these people, they're as nutty, they're as chaotic, or the sort of interaction I'm having with them is as chaotic and as uncomfortable as what I had previously. So there's something going on in my head, which is causing me to attract these sort of people. Mm-hmm. So then I changed. I thought, why do people have to be like? I realized what I thought women were like. I thought, why do I think that? And then I went and found that actually not all women were like what I thought they were. Mm-hmm. And not all relationships were what I thought they were. So that's when you can change your beliefs, is when you see evidence, when you go looking for proof that a new belief that you could have is possible. So, that's how you change a belief in a nutshell, I think. You go and look for the proof that another belief could actually be real.
Yeah. Interesting, man. That's an interesting idea to go ahead with, opening yourself up to seeing new possibilities and new types of people, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That is the long answer to your question about how to stop repeating patterns. You've got to recognize that the pattern you have is created by something that you think is true. Mm-hmm. And then you've got to say, well, perhaps that isn't true. Perhaps something else is true. What would an idea be like that would be a good belief to have? And then go and look to see for evidence that in fact is true. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to relationships, you will find, if you look, there are people who've got easy relationships who don't, if they have arguments or problems, and it's not saying nobody has problems, but they sort them out. They don't make them the focus of their relationship. And they want to be together all the time. I mean, I live on a yacht with my partner. We're together 24 hours a day, and we're not there because we have to be. I mean, obviously, practically we are, but we enjoy it. We're not saying we need space. There's a lot of these beliefs have come from, I don't know where, but the media or people saying, and just assuming that they're correct. You have to work on relationships. Relationships are difficult. Who gave us these ideas?
And you ask some really interesting questions here, Liam, because it's so often you're right. It's just ingrained in society, ingrained with the media, ingrained with everything that we're given, that it's it's hard. Everything's hard. Relationships are hard because people are complex and because of this and because of that. And then you ask such a great question, who gave us this, right? And let's shift gears here, Liam. I mean, you were mentioning something before, when you were in this period, you had to make a decision, right? You made a decision to, just, let's go study this. Let's go work on me, right? Let's go work on me first. And then, did this relationship come out of nowhere? Did it pop up immediately after, when I say immediately, maybe months after you made that decision to say, I'm just going to focus on myself now, right? And then did you have to make a decision then to say, all right, is this person really the person I want to be with? Or is this another distraction, if I could call it that says, hey, Liam, look at me, it's another girl in your life, so do you want to be alone or you don't want to be alone? How did you tell the difference in that scenario?
Well, I think you come to a point, I came to a point where I wasn't actually looking, or I didn't need to have a relationship. This is the other problem, if you like, that people have, is they feel they need to be in a relationship because they don't want to be alone.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fair enough. We don't want to be, we seek security, if you like. And a relationship is a place where we can get security, we can get love, we can get some of our needs met. But I think two things are the key, and this is what I found for me as well. The first thing is to get really clear on what your ideal relationship looks like. So I went to the trouble to actually not only write a list, but there's a thing you might have heard of called mind movies. This was something I came across on the internet. I think they're Australian actually as well.
Okay.
People developed it. What they basically say is create a mind movie of what you want. So it's not just a written out list. You've actually put images and music to affirmations of what you want. So the really good thing about that is you get very, very clear. And I got very, very clear about what I wanted. And funnily enough, it wasn't just about my ideal partner. It was about my life in general. And I have to say, a few years later, in some miraculous way, it's all come true. And I think the key, firstly, you have to get really clear on what you really, really want. And you have to be in detail. So I went into detail about what sort of partner I wanted, what they looked like, what their values were. That's the most important thing. What their values were, what's important to them. Because, I'd been in relationships, to me, my most important value is freedom and new experiences. That's why I'm living on a yacht. So I've been with people before whose most important value was security. They didn't want to travel. They didn't want to, I've been traveling for more than 7 years now. I haven't lived in a house for 7 years. So there's no point me being with someone they just wanted a little house with a little garden. And I've been with people like that. I've been married to people like that. But the problem is they have completely different values to you. So you've got to be really clear and say, what are their values of my ideal partner? What are the things they're interested in? What do they like to do? And that's the first thing, to get really clear. And then the second thing, and this is equally important, and this is answering your question, how did I find this person, is you've got to let go, and you've got to just say, when that person shows up, they will show up. So you're not actually going out there looking. You just know that person will show up at the right time. And of course, to get to the point where you're not looking, you have to get rid of your fears that you're never going to find that person. And that you're never going to find happiness in and the things that you want. You've just got to let it go and say, it will show up at the right time. So what that meant was, when I met people, and I was still out meeting people, I wasn't, being a hermit, but I wasn't meeting people saying, oops, do you tick the boxes and no, next. I was just meeting people, just without the fear that I had to find a relationship. And then the right person showed up. And I think if you look at not just relationships, if you look at anything in your life, despite what we'd like to think, there's a different system operating as to how you attract into your life what you get, to a different system to going out there and pushing and trying to make it happen and doing all that sort of stressful stuff. Because the things that really shape your life, and the significant things I've found anyway, are the things that come along almost unexpectedly. And that you haven't gone out specifically to really try and make happen. So I think that's very much the same with the right relationship. You've got to be in a space where you want it to happen, but you don't need it to happen for your happiness. You're not dependent for your happiness on it happening. You just are happy. You are yourself, and therefore you attract to you the thing that complements you.
I love it, Liam. And wow, you just mentioned so many amazing bombs that just in that one monologue there. And I want to pull some of this out, because I think some of this has gone over some of the people's heads here, when they're listening here. And one of the things I want to pull out here, Liam, is you said that you were looking at, you sat down, you clearly identified the values of not what you want, right, or not who you are, but of them. What do they value the most? What is that your future partner value the most, right? So that it could either be a match for you, or, and it's what I tell some of my own clients, is if your future partner values this, then you gotta jump into their shoes, jump into their eyes, and jump into their head and think, would they value being with someone who's like me right now? Or do I have to be, or do I have to evolve to another type of person as well if I want that type of person, right? And I think I want to pull that out here because I think that's really important. That so often we're always told, Liam, go create your own tick box list of what you want in a partner, and then it's just all about you. But how often do we think about the other person, and where are they, right?
Yeah, to be honest, Richard, I agree with you to a point, but on the other hand, I think we have this disease that's happened in the world now where we feel bad about putting ourselves first. And, you are the only person who counts, because when you put yourself first, what that means is you become yourself, your best version of who you really are. And when you do that, that's when you contribute to the world. That's when you make the biggest impact. It's by being the best version of yourself. And you want to meet somebody in a relationship who values you for who you are, and who also puts themselves first as well. And it's not being selfish. What it's doing, because if I don't know if you have children, but anyone who's got children out there, the first thing you're going to say to them, the first piece of advice is, you make sure you are happy. Because if someone cares about you, I say this to my daughter quite often, those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind about what you do. You've got to put yourself first. And when you do that, it's not like you're going to be selfish and unkind to everyone else. You're going to feel so good that you're going to want to contribute more. But you're also going to demand that what you have in your life serves and enriches you, because that's the only way that we really increase the good stuff in the world, if you like. The more good stuff that you put into yourself, the more that gets expressed in your life and in your world, including through other people. So I think I don't know, I just have this thing that, again, it's part of this, you've got to put other people first, and you've got to work on things, and you've got to, accommodate other people. If you put yourself first, you do that naturally and automatically, but not in a strained way, and not in a way that doesn't honor yourself first. So, I don't want people to think it's a little bit, maybe I haven't expressed it too well, but it's not about being selfish. It's about saying, I'm a valuable person. And when you value yourself, other people are going to value you, and you are going to value others as well. And I think if you look at people who truly make a contribution in the world, they have a very healthy self-respect. And they basically say, look, this is how I feel. This is who I am. If you don't accept me, I totally accept that. But I can't be anything other than who I am, and I can't be anyone else than who I express, and do what I do, because everybody should do that. And if we stop worrying about what other people think, and stop worrying about, how can I make other people happy? I mean, your own happiness is your responsibility. Nobody else. And this is the other thing about a relationship. You can't go into it expecting the other person can make you happy.
Yes.
You're the only person who can make you happy. Yes. So you need to focus on that. And when you focus on making yourself happy and you feel happy, you want to make other people happy. You're not being selfish. Anyway, sorry, I'm probably going on a bit here, but
no, you highlight a really important point here, Liam. And this is so often, it comes back to all this self-love talk that happens as well. Is that you're saying this, and to put it simply, it's like, you have to give love from an overflowing cup, right? You have your own cup. You have to pour love into your own cup, and you can't just give that out, because eventually if you don't know how to pour enough love into your cup, you run out, right? And then you become the bigger and the one that needs the water, needs the love. But if you learn how to actually flow so much love into your own cup that's overflowing, and you give from the overflow, then you still feel amazing, right? You still feel amazing, still feel great. And I think that's really part of what you're saying, isn't it?
Yeah, and you're not you're sending the message to your own world, which you are creating. And I don't know if you talk about this sort of thing in your podcast, but I've come to that definite, I know with certainty that we do create our world. So if you have the thoughts that I'm fine, you're fine, but I'm not going to try and fix everybody else to make me feel better, then that's the sort of world, that's the sort of life you're going to live. But too often we try and just focus on problems and trying to make other people happy, well, we can't do that. You know, it's an endless battle we'll never win, is to make the rest of the world happy. You can only make yourself happy and let that happiness, as you say, spill out and show other people that they should be focusing on their own happiness as well.
Exactly.
Without being ruthless. It's not about being ruthless and selfish, and I'm not talking about that at all. It's not about using other people.
Yeah,
Anyway.
beautifully said, Liam. And this is one other nugget I want to bring out here in your other, what you mentioned in passing was that, you know, you said that you let it, you know, sit with you for, you know, look, it's no rush. It's going to happen and I'll meet the person. At the same time, you were putting yourself out in those situations, right? You weren't sitting at home and just saying, you know, Richard, it's going to happen. It's going to happen, but I'm going to be at home every night. Right? You actually still went out and put yourself out in the situation where you can meet people, because this is so often, it's like, I meet people, and I'm sure you meet people too. It's like, you know, Liam, you know, the love of my life is going to come. And then, you know, it's like, okay, so what are you doing to put yourself out there, right? So that you can meet that person can come into your life. And like, oh, nothing. I'm just at home watching Netflix. I'm at home, you know, chilling out. And I sit there and I go, how are you ever going to meet that person, right? Whether, you know, if it's online dating or whatever, you still have to go do something, right? And this is, I love the distinction you pulled out, is that, you know, there's a difference between like bulldozing through trying to meet the person, right, compared to just being you, putting yourself out in a situation where you can still be social and meet new people, whether that be like having coffee dates, whether that be going to a party or something like that. But I love that the fact that you pulled this in here, because so often so many people think, oh, if I'm thinking that they're going to come to my life eventually, then I don't need to do anything. You still have to do something, isn't it, Liam?
Yeah, and I think not only just relationships, but you have to, you've summed it up really, because you do have to know exactly what you want. So not just relationships, but other aspects of your life in terms of, you know, your lifestyle and things. So you have to get a very clear picture of what you want. And then you have to look around, you know, you often out of curiosity, maybe. Excuse me. But you do have to get out there and look, not with, as you say, you know, a desperation. But just go, just look out of curiosity as to what's out there, you know, and it helps you clarify in your own mind what you're looking for as well.
I love it. And I love the fact that you use the word curiosity, because it's so important, especially in any part of your life. You have to have that curiosity to, one, just get to know the other person, isn't it? So then it actually gets interesting. And then it ends up, if you always have curiosity, I believe this, Liam, and maybe you can validate this for me, right? Is that, you know, if you have curiosity, no matter how long you've been with someone, there's always going to be something new and exciting that you find out or discover or experience, isn't it?
That's exactly right. And that's another thing that I found with people who are in great relationships. They don't get tired of each other because they always have new things. They've got, as you say, curiosity, and they've always got new things that they can learn together about the world, about each other. You know, it's not that hard if you make that your focus.
Oh, it's beautiful. Oh, man. Liam, man, I've been learning so much here with you, and I'm so grateful that you jumped on here and gave us some of the time. And we're going to start wrapping up the show now, Liam, as we go into the quickfire questions, right? And so the first question we're going to go with here, Liam, is my favorite one. This is like our signature question here on this show. It's called the time travel moment. And basically the way it works, Liam, is if you could go back to any point in your life, yeah, and you could go back and speak to little Liam and give him one piece of advice, where would you go back to and what would you tell him?
Well, I'd probably go back to many places in my life, because I can see the pattern of what I wasn't telling myself then that caused me to not make mistakes, because if anything had been different, we wouldn't be here right now. So everything is perfect. But what I would say is, so I could go back to many moments, and I think the thing I would say to myself then is, listen to that inner voice in your heart that's telling you telling you if you shouldn't do something, or if you should do something, and just follow that. So don't rush into anything hoping it will work out. Just listen to that voice which is saying, uh-oh, don't do this, you know, because we have a tendency to ignore that voice and we go, oh, but I've invested a lot of time or effort into this project, or or this relationship or whatever. So yes, I need to get married, or or I should get married, and it'll work out. It'll be fine. We do this in business sometimes as well. We set up a business project or whatever. We just think, well, out of grim determination, but there's a little voice that says, just don't do it. You can feel the tension and stress rising in you when you think about it, and you try and get rid of that by saying, I'm going to make this work. So that'd be, I wish I told I don't wish, I'm glad I didn't, because I wouldn't know that now, but everything's worked out perfectly. But I think that we don't have the courage to do that. And, that's the biggest gift we can give ourselves, is to just step back, realize you don't have to do anything. Life's not going to end tomorrow if you decide not to do something. It doesn't matter what other people think. If your heart is saying, don't do it, don't do it, whatever it is.
Awesome advice. Next question I have for you, Liam, is, you said you studied a lot about love and relationships. And I want to ask you here is, if there's one book that the people listening, the people watching here need to know about relationships and must read, what would that book be, man?
Well, actually, it's not specifically, there are lots of books that I could mention, but the books that are going to improve your relationships most are actually not about relationships, I think. They're about improving yourself, because I really think that the relationship you have with someone else, in fact, you have with anyone else, is really a reflection of the relationship you have with yourself. So that's what you need to work on. And probably one of the best books I've read, which isn't specifically on relationships, as I've said, but which really helped me, there's a book called The Breakthrough Experience by John DeMartini. I think you're familiar with him.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And some of the processes and things he talks about in there are very, very powerful. And they certainly helped me to reevaluate what was going on in my head and what was causing me to create the tension, the stress, and the decisions that weren't coming from my little voice, my own inner wisdom. Yeah. So I really recommend that as a book, The Breakthrough Experience by John DeMartini.
Awesome. We'll add that. And we've had John as well on the show too, and he's coming up. He's an amazing fellow.
Oh, great.
Awesome.
Yeah, he's another person who lives on a boat, I believe.
he lives more on a plane, if anything. It seems like he's always traveling like 300 days out of the year. I was like, oh wow, good on you, John. Luckily, I got an hour with you. So that's all good. And the final question I have for you, Liam, this is one I'm excited to ask you here as a relationship coach, Liam, is how would you describe what true love really is?
What true love really is? Well, I'm sure the greatest minds throughout history have tried to answer that one, so I can't hope to be in their league. But I think true love is just a knowingness, isn't it? It's not about, and it's probably the opposite of what I was talking about earlier in terms of the little voice saying you shouldn't do something. True love is just about being and accepting what is, and not only what is, but what's natural. I mean, if I'm sitting on my boat here and I'm looking out at the sea, and just observing what is in your space in this present moment is something not enough of us do enough of the time, but it's really all there is. And true love, I think, is just experiencing what really is real, what is here right now. And it's an easy feeling. And it's not what's your thoughts are, what's going on in your head. It's what your inner voice and the present moment are all pointing to, which is what is real, what's important, and what is meaningful. I hope that helps.
I hope that helps.
Not in the Plato-Socrates league, but anyway.
Just gotta let it sink in, right? Just let it sink in. And man, I love it, Liam. And so, Liam, this has been an amazing chat. I've been enjoying every moment of this, and I want you to know that it's been amazing, right? Most of all, for the people who want to find out more about yourself and your work, where's the best place they can head to I guess, get in contact with you?
Okay, well, thanks. Well, my website is just my name, liamnaden.com, Liam, N for nuisance, ADEN for nuisance.com. And really that's got everything. There's all my podcast episodes and books, and I've got 25 Kindle books now, and you know, two programs, a 30-day program and a 7-day program. And anything else I can do to help people, they're welcome to get in touch with me through that. And yeah, if I can help, that would be good.
Awesome. Amazing. And then one final thing here. Is there anything else you'd like to mention that we didn't get a chance to talk about on the show today?
Well, not unless you've got another 3 hours, but
yeah, because Liam's got to set sail, guys. Got to set sail, right? But awesome, Liam.
Well, I guess there's
yeah.
There's just so much we could talk about, isn't there? So, you know, that's what I was meaning.
No. Awesome. Well, Liam, once again, thank you so much for jumping on this show. It's been an absolute honor and a pleasure just listening in on your own experience and how, you know, people can cultivate the love that they desire. So thank you again for jumping on the show.
Thanks so much for having me. It's been great. Really enjoyed it.
Yes. Awesome, guys. So this wraps up another episode of the Forge Your Life podcast today with the love coach himself, Liam Naden. And this is the thing here, guys. I want you to do this. I want you to help us here because this is the thing. I know Liam doesn't want to keep this a secret. I don't want to keep this a secret. This must go out there. We need to spread more love out there in this world. And so in order for us to spread this love, we need to spread the word. And for us to spread the word, we need your help to go onto iTunes to rate the show, to give us a review, give us 1 star if it wasn't enough love, give us 5 stars if you felt overwhelmed with love, and so that we can share Liam's message and all the other guests that are on the show as well, so that it goes out there. And of course, you can head on over to richardfood.com to catch all the show notes and resources that Liam has shared today. And finally, guys, go out there, go live with love and go smash it. And I'll see you again on the next one.